Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Program. And today we're going to taste some different kinds of wines that maybe you don't always look for in a grocery store or your wine shop. Maybe you're always looking for a Cab, a Merlot, a Syrah, Pinot Noir, Petit Syrah. We're going to go a little bit weird today, a little bit different. It's always good to be different, and I'm going to do a twofold thing with this wine tasting. A while back I tasted the Renegade Wine Company's Red Blend, and I try to follow what I think the consumer will do when they get home. Most people pop, uncork their wine, and within an hour after uncorking their wine they consume it. That's the national average. I know not all of you do that. I have friends that decant, I have friends that uncork, put the cork back in, try it the next day. That's great. I mean, I love it. I love to see folks doing that sort of thing. But on the average, the national average, people uncork the wine, and within an hour after uncorking it, that bottle is gone. So I try to do my reviews based on that national average because that is what people are going to taste in the wine. However, my experience with Renegade Wine Company Red that I did was, on my review, I think I gave it like a C++, but the next day, now this is a $10 bottle of wine, and we don't see that very often, $10 bottle of wine, it improved dramatically in one day. It was a stove enclosure, it had the screw cap, but the next day, I think I gave it a B+ the next day. That's how much it improved. So I mentioned that on my blog, that Trey Bush, who is a winemaker, he also owns Sleight of Hand Winery, with partners of course, but anyway, the point is I told him you should put instructions on the label. Please, unscrew the cap and wait 6 hours before you consume this wine. It got that much better, which is really surprising for a $10 bottle of wine. But the point is that sometimes it's good to wait and see how that wine will develop. If you don't like it at first, maybe it'll get better. So these 3 wines I'm doing today, I'm going to review them again tomorrow after they've, I put the cork back in, I'm going to set them aside, we're going to do them again. Will they improve? We're going to find out. Hopefully you stay tuned and see the results. But these are 3 interesting wines that you would not normally maybe walk in the store and ask for. The first one may be a little more common. This is it's Cantilly Salice Salentino 2009. It is from Puglia, and the sub-DOC, or Domain Origin Control, is Salice Salentino. And the grape that they use for this wine is Negroamaro. Now, how many times do you walk into your local grocery store and say, hey, I want to try a Negroamaro. What can you do for me? Well, not a lot of us do that. I like Negroamaro. It's a very interesting grape. I compare it a lot to a Cabernet Sauvignon when I'm selling it to a customer. But like Italian labels can be confusing for some consumers because you think, well, is the grape Salice Salentino? Is that the area? Well, it's the DO or DOC or DOP now, Domain Origin Protégé, which is the new European sort of demarcation. But not everybody's going to go to that. They keep with the DOC. This is a designated area where these grapes are grown, and it's been recognized as having a particular terroir or a particular area that they decide that we need to make this consumers aware of this particular area of Italy. But it's part of the larger area of Puglia, which is the heel of the boot of Italy. It looks like a boot, and Puglia is the heel of the boot. Anyway, let's see what we get from this Negroamaro from the DOC of Salice Salentino in the larger region of Puglia, Italy. Well, it has a very earthy component on the nose, which you would expect from an Italian wine. I get like a dusty component, some black currants, cherries for sure. There's like a dried herbal component. I can't kind of, it's a subdued kind of dried herbal thing. It's a little perfumed. I get some red flowers out of it, which is interesting. Let's see what we get on the palate. I think I forgot to mention this is $12, around $12 retail. This has a nice little brightness to it. It's not overpowering. There's good acidity, but it's balanced by the red fruit flavors. I get some red currants, some red cherries. I get a little bit of black licorice going on. There is an underlying like red currant, if I mentioned that already. There's a definite mineral component on the finish. I get like a little bit of gravelly crushed rock. Yeah, there's even a little tobacco element there. The dried herbs are there. I wish I could, you know, maybe a little, could be a little bit of tarragon, maybe some, you know, basil, maybe. I'm terrible. I'll admit I'm terrible at dried herbs. I'm working on the dried herb category. I'm trying to, you know, find some herbs to smell, and you know, I mean, I've done it many times. It just seems like it's a challenge for me to do that. I'll admit the dried herb, but I can get the dried herbs. I just can't identify specific herbs. This is a beautiful wine. This got big ups in an Italian wine publication. It's $12. Good acidity, which really puts it in that European old world category. But it's not like mouth puckering because it's balanced out with the red fruits. A little bit of rose petal, maybe violet action going on. You know, it's a good bottle of wine. I mean, for that price. Yeah, nice wine, great with food. You know, if you have some, you know, some really kind of stinky cheese or some really nice grilled steaks or something of that nature, this is going to go. In fact, I'm doing a pot roast today. I might pour a glass of this before I, you know, let it sit overnight to have with the stew, although I have probably not. Just cork it, wait for tomorrow. I'm real curious to see how this evolves after it's been opened, recorked, put away for the next day. But you know, I'm going to give this one a B+ easily right now. A-, B+ for $12. Excellent bottle of wine. Let's move on. We are going to now do something from Spain, and it's a Mencia. It has a C in it, but I know in Spain they kind of give it a kind of a, it's a sticky C, like Mencia, Mencia. That's the name of the grape. This is A. Portela Mencia. This is 2012. Let's give you a little close-up of the label there. Okay. This rolls in at $15. This is from Valdeorras, which is up in the northwest part, really close to Rias Baxis, where they produce a lot of Albarino. So this is in the bigger region of Galicia in Spain. But the D.O. is what they call it there, is Valdeorras. Valdeorras. There you go. So, again, how many stores would you go in and say, I want a Mencia from Spain? Not a lot of us, I'm sure of that. In fact, I was introduced to this grape like not too long ago, a couple of years ago. Let's see what we get on the nose. Now this is one of those noses. The aromatics on this are very old world, very stinky, almost like a hair perm. Remember when you used to walk in the house and your mom, or well, maybe even now your wife is perming her hair? Not too big of a thing these days. But do you remember that smell? Maybe some of the younger generation, maybe you guys don't experience that smell. But it kind of smells like hair perm. But it has a little barnyardy, a little bit of stink to it, which, and I know, the new wine drinker may go, oh, wow, I don't like that smell at all. And then, that's okay. But you know how you always say you can't judge a book by its cover? You can't judge a wine by its smell. And a lot of us wine geek guys, when we smell stinky, we like it. Just saying. There's a lot of like earthy, like beauty bark, a little bit of stink, hair perm. Definitely getting some currants in the very back side of this. A little minerality, like a little bit of crushed rock, like a wet crushed rock. Very, very earthy, very forest floor kind of barky things going on, like like a wet. If you run into those wet stumps, those trees that have been there for maybe 10 years or 5 to 10 years, and their bark's falling off. You can smell that earthy. It has a little bit of that mixed with the black currants. I'm also getting a little bit of blackberry. Definitely a leather component coming through. Kind of perfumey, which is interesting. Now I'd say the stink is blowing off in the bigger cup because I opened these about 3 hours ago. But now that it's in a bigger bowl, the stink is kind of blowing off, which may be, one of those things where you say maybe you should decant it if you have a decanter. I don't care what you use for a decanter. Use a mason jar. Use something just with a larger opening. Or decanters though have that big surface and then the smaller opening there and there. They're kind of cool to have. I'm even getting a little bit of rose petal on this. Let's see what we get on the palate. Definitely blackberries, currants, but all of that blended in with a little forest floor bark thing going on. A lot of minerality on the finish, but this has good, good mouthfeel. It's kind of full bodied, but it has that kind of minerality thing going on. I get a little bit of black licorice, probably more on the fennel side than anything. There's good acid, not high in acid, but definitely not, one of your soft Napa cabs, kind of smooth and polished. It's got some attitude. I like the crushed rock on the backside. There's tobacco there. There's a little bit of dried flowers, red flowers, currants, blackberries. It's a beauty. It's really a beauty. $15. You could go out and buy this wine, and, hey, I'm trying a Mencia from Spain. From Galicia, from Valdeorras, up there in the, northwest side of Spain near Rias Baxas. Really impress your guests. I don't get snooty about it. It's kind of cool to throw those things around, don't you think? That's what I love about the wine world. There's so much to know. You don't have to get snotty about the wine. It's a good wine. Plain and simple. Nice wine. I'm giving this one an A-. Absolutely A-. Leaning towards the A. But I'm serious. Look at the bottle. You're gonna look at this. Oh, I'm even getting a little black tea on the back of that one. I mean, look at the bottle. You look at that, you go, what is that? You see that? And well, hopefully you have a wine shop guy that can kind of lead you along. But I'll try and remember to post this one down below. Not sure if you can still get the 2012. I hope you can. Great bottle of wine for 15 bucks. Let's move on. I'll be really curious to see how that plays out tomorrow. Hope you guys hope you follow along with me on this one, because that's kind of fun, Man, look at the concentration. Boy, that baby is staining the glass. Look at this. I just rinsed my glass with this. Look at the staining on that glass. Incredible. We are now trying a Tannat from Uruguay, of all places. 4th largest producer of South America. 50% of Uruguay's production is sent to, I don't know why I poured so much. Crazy. Sometimes I don't know about myself. Anyway, this is Garzon Tannat 2012 Uruguay. This is $19, so it's a little bit more money. But you tell me, how many times have you walked into wine shop and said, "Hey, I want to try a Tannat from the Mataron of France or from Uruguay"? Forget about it. I haven't even done that. Although I did see a Tannat in a wine shop that I went to, and I just had to buy it because I didn't know what it was. That's what it's about. Experimenting. Anyway, the color on this is incredible. I'm just going to show you. I don't even need a white backdrop. Look at the color. This stuff is like ink. I think I could dip a pen in it and write on my paper. Very, very purple. Incredibly dark. Well, Tannat is mainly from the Mataron, but it's the main grape of Uruguay. Uruguay is 4th largest producer of South America, so they're probably behind, I'm guessing, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, then Uruguay maybe. So, some of the Tannat from the Mataron in France is incredibly concentrated, incredibly tannic. I mean, you have to wait like 5 to 6 years to drink it, where have I found the Tannat from Uruguay are a little bit more approachable sooner. See what we get on the nose. This is very tarry, tobacco-y. I'm getting like barbecue spice, like like you spilt some barbecue spices on the charcoal. Kind of blackberry, very dark fruit, maybe on the boysenberry side. A lot of crushed rock, minerality on the nose. A lot of black licorice. I mean, I'm getting that really anise thing going on. A little perfumey, like a perfumed beauty bark thing. But big ups on the blackberry, boysenberry side of this wine. Incredible. I really like this. I like the black licorice. I like the boysenberry. I like the blackberry, all kind of blended in there. A lot of brambleberry is what we like to say sometimes. Things that grow in those bushes with stickers. Let's see what we get on the palate. Wow. Wow. If you like big, bold wines that aren't flabby, have a little bit of acidity behind them to kind of keep it, keep it from going like big jammy. This is the wine. Big blackberry, boysenberry fruit on this one. Good concentration. I mean, it's pretty powerful on the palate. It's pretty fruit forward, but like I said, it's restrained with that acidity. It gets a little bit grippy on the backside. There's even like a little, just a touch of a bitter component. Certainly doesn't overpower the fruit. What is the alcohol content on this? The alcohol content on this is 13.8, so it's got a little bit more kick to it, but it finishes nice and dry. There's going to be a lot of you that like this wine. This has this nice kind of sweet fruit up front. Good mouthfeel, pretty big, but then it goes off and turns into this more of a mineral-driven kind of the bitter component on the backside would make it really good with food. Like this would be a great wine with chili, or a pot roast, or anything like that. Comfort food. This would be beautiful. It has and for a lot of you that don't want to get into the big tannic old world kind of monster gravelly wines, this would do it, especially up front. So I am going to give this one a B plus, A minus. Yes, B plus, A minus. 3 rock star wines, really. I mean, this is $19. All of them are under $20, which is really impressive to me. I like them a lot. And I would encourage you, if you want to experiment a little bit, hopefully you have a wine shop you can go to where the guy at least, is willing to reach out. Don't you hate going into a wine shop and you mention a wine and they give you the eye roll, like, oh, do I really have to look for this wine? No, you want a guy or girl or whoever, your wine person, to really want to reach out and find these wines. And I think you'd have a nice experience with these. And, this Tannat is really good. The Mencia was really good. The Negroamaro was really good from Salice Salentino, Italy. All very nice wines. Thanks for watching. And please, join me tomorrow as I retaste these wines and see if they improved, go backwards, go forwards, or stayed the same. Thanks for watching, and here's to keeping the snob out of wine. Cheers.